You're watching musicians on bicycles getting popsicles. Today, my guest is good friend Devon Stuart Vlasin. Devon is one of the most prolific songwriters I've ever met, and he can write in multiple styles and voices. He is easily the hardest working musician in town and the warrior of the local music scene, playing live in and out of town at least 2 to 3 times a week. If we had to elect ambassadors for local music scenes, I'm pretty sure Devon would win hands down. He's been a constant star in the Gainesville sky. You could always count on him to go to a show, play a show, or just grab a brew with. It's with very mixed emotions that I received the news that he's moving to New York in a week. I'm happy for his future, but I really don't know what the hell we're going to do without him back home. Despite a few failed attempts, we did actually get on the bikes before he left, took a great ride, and got some awesome popsicles. Let's watch.
I feel like I probably should have had a bike by now, or another bike, since my last one got stolen.
Yeah, that's another thing. Do you know that one of those companies that sells like the super locks guarantees their bikes from theft except for Gainesville and New York City?
Well, great, the two places.
So tell me the story of your first instrument.
First instrument was, well, you know, everybody did like the whole little violin thing, or pick your poison in elementary school. So we could either go recorder or violin. This is elementary school, mind you.
Sure. And which way did you go?
I went violin. So
Probably a
I
good
learned, you know, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and Mary Had a Little Lamb, which I'm pretty sure is pretty much the same thing, and Hot Crossed Buns. Those are the 3 songs I vividly remember.
You know, Ricky also talked about hot cross buns.
He would, you know. But then, after that, it was when I got into, I think 6th grade, is when I started playing saxophone.
All right, I didn't know that.
You know, and there's a couple guys that were a lot better than me at saxophone, but they were always absent, so I was like the consummate first chair, even though I had no right to be.
So from there, where are you going?
I went to guitar.
When was this?
From there, and that was in my early 20s, like maybe 21.
I remember you telling me before, but so you came to the guitar
Pretty
later
late.
than most guys.
Pretty late, yeah. I just wanted to, you know, I was a poet. So I realized real quick when I came to UF that chicks didn't dig poets that much, but they really liked musicians. So I figured, you know, a song can't be that different from a poem.
How did you learn?
Taught myself. Had a couple roommates that were okay at guitar. So they kind of gave me the basics of where to put my fingers. Kind of like my first girlfriend.
I was waiting for it.
That's gross. So yeah, then I went to guitar, and I'm pretty much haven't improved since.
So the actual instrument though itself, like where's the first guitar you owned?
Oh, my dad gave it to me. It's like a old Yamaha, probably like a late 60s or early 70s Yamaha my dad had in college. Kind of gave it to me one birthday. It's the one guitar that, you know, you kind of keep in your living room.
Sure. So when are you first getting into music that would inspire you to write?
We always listened to music when I was growing up. Like every Friday night we listened to records.
You and your parents?
Yeah, me and my parents,
That's
my
cool.
brother. And my dad would always put on Led Zeppelin 4
Nice.
and play Black Dog at 45 RPM. So for the longest time I just thought that's how it was. I never heard it another way.
So when did you move to Gainesville?
In 2000, I was 21.
And when did you start performing music?
First time I played out, I think I was 24.
Where's that?
I was either at Cafe Gardens, yeah, or the Swamp, one or the other.
Nice.
Yeah, the classic 2 guitar and guy places to play.
When did you first start getting a band together?
Well, my first real band was, well, Rock Hill Sessions was probably my first real band where I wrote words to songs and performed them, but I was just a front man, which always made me feel a little uncomfortable. How they got me to play in the band was I did karaoke all the time at Common Grounds, and they heard me sing like Can't You See or some other Southern rock song, and they approached me about playing in the band with them. It's funny, the first time I went and saw them play, they called me up to sing a song. And I have they're like, here's a song we don't have words to, and Devon's gonna come up and sing it. So it was completely odd. And I went up there and just said baby a lot. So I remember that. And it was loud, and I liked it. And then they started telling me to come out to practice, and I would do that. And that's kind of where I learned how to maintain my chops throughout a set, because I would blow out my vocal cords all the time playing in that band. So I had to learn when to save it and when to use it, which I still don't always follow.
What, like, would you say that the Takers was the most serious band you were in? Like, not by serious, I mean like actually touring and putting out records and...
Yes, Takers was.
Okay.
Takers came about, I was scheduled to play a solo show opening up for, I forget what the guy's name was. Yes, it was a 3-name guy. But I was roommates with Chad, and I was like, man, I kind of, you know, this is the first real solo gig that I've had, and I kind of want to I don't want to play by myself. So he's like, all right, well, teach me some of the songs. I taught him. He's like, well, we should get a drummer, and we should get a bass player, and we should get, you know, whoever. So basically, whoever answered the phone first was in the Takers.
How many, okay, so have you ever kept track? Like, what's the most you've ever played in a year?
In a year?
Because you play, it seems like, at least 2-3 times a week, pretty regularly.
I don't really keep track. I know that, well, when, you know, with the whole Wednesday thing, if we include that, that's an automatic 52. I'd say last year was probably a big year. I don't know, I probably did 125, 130, maybe 150 shows.
It's not bad. So how did the Takers wrap up?
Takers wrapped up, you know, I'd been in Brewster Baker, and I don't know, I think that you know, the whole, we're going in different creative directions. Like, I was getting a little more serious, and I felt like those guys weren't as serious. I called a meeting and told them that I wanted to do something different.
Besides, I mean, you know, you said Brewster Baker, you were in the Takers, you play a Thunder Band, you play solo stuff. Like, you're always able to write songs, but like for a voice almost, even though it's always yours.
I never really even thought about it like that until Michael Clater said something about that.
Maybe it's subconscious, but I assume that it would be inspirational to be like, you know, you're stuck with whatever you're working on, but then you play some chords and you're like, well, that would definitely work for a Brewster Baker song, or...
Well, I would like pull from different people that I wanted the sound to be like. Like, I wanted to write pop rock songs like Tom Petty would write, and choruses with, you know, alternating vocal parts, but I kind of wanted it to sound like the Gin Blossoms. So that was like Brewster Baker. It was like a cross between, in my mind, a cross between Tom Petty and the Gin Blossoms, with some pretty damn good harmonies thrown in there too. I mean,
that was definitely like the best band in town that really wasn't really a band.
Yeah. As far as the Taker stuff, I mean, I was just writing sad country songs. Thunder Band, you know how we write that.
Right.
And then Snake Healers is kind of a, I don't know, it's more like a kind of a Steve Earle vibe to it. So.
Well, you've always been good at merging good lyrical content with melodies and hooks. Like, when did you first realize that you could do that?
I don't know, probably the first time I heard somebody singing back from the audience. I was like, wow, these people, there must be something going on here. I don't know, I guess I don't focus on whether or not I'm good at it, I just do it, you know what I mean? I never maybe I don't even still realize that I can do it. I just come up with a melody in my head and try to come up with an idea to support that melody and lyrics, but try not to be too obvious. One of the biggest things I learned early on was from a creative writing teacher that said, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And I think that I've tried to hold as true to that as I could, but still being relatable. You know, I'm never going to be Paul Simon.
Right.
I'm never going to be Dylan. I'm never going to be Townes Van Zandt. I just try to be honest, and I try to relate whatever feeling or emotion. You know, I get really into, when I write, I succumb to whatever feeling that I'm trying to put in a song. So if I'm writing a sad song, I get sad while I'm writing it. If I'm writing a happy song, I'm probably smiling while I'm writing it, or something about indifference, you know, I'm being indifferent, you know, so what have you. Songs can, you know, everybody says the same thing. Songs can come right away,
Right.
or they take months, years to write.
Can you think of one of yours that came right away that's like one of your favorites?
Well, you know, I wrote Curse of a Drunk in a Dream.
That's cool.
I went to sleep. Chad and I went out to, I think we were at Common Grounds drinking beers, and I was kind of living with my girlfriend at the time, Jessie, and I went home, or I went to her place and fell asleep and woke up with that melody, the chorus melody, and the words in my head. So I wrote them down, and when I woke up the next day, I wrote the rest of the song.
That's cool. Yeah, there's that brief window where if you don't write it down, it's gone.
Yeah, and that's why I try to keep notebooks everywhere, in the car, in the bathroom, next to the bed, in the kitchen.
Most songwriters, I think, say that, you know, sometimes you've got a melody and then the lyrics come, or sometimes you have the lyrics and then you write the rest. You seem to be more like the lyrics are probably coming first most of the time.
Lyrics usually come first. A lot of times what happens is I'll think of lyrics, write them down without a melody. Well, with some semblance of a melody, you know. I get most of my melodies in the shower. And then I'll like, oh, well, I have some words that I wrote down that I think I can fit into that.
You can hang
Yeah.
with anybody, and the people that you hang out with, I don't think it's insincere or phony when I say this, but you make those people feel like they're your closest friends. So I think that it would be easy for people to latch on to that and want to work with you. I mean, not everybody can end up leaving karaoke night with Joaquin Phoenix and going to...
Well, it was a group effort. But he walked in with his girlfriend. His girlfriend sang a couple songs, and we started drinking with him. He was a super nice guy. So Doc was like, hey, I think we're going to have an impromptu house party to keep this train going, you know? I don't even think I was that starstruck. It was odd to see that caliber of celebrity walk into karaoke at Common Grounds, you know? Or maybe it was High Dive, or Double Down. I don't remember. We went down to Doc's place and kept the party rolling. And he came up, and there was a chair next to me, and that was it. So he came up and he sat down, and he held out his hand. He said, I'm Joaquin, nice to meet you. And I told him my name, and then we started talking about the music scene and Gainesville and growing up and what we had going on. And he had just come from a wedding, and it was a guy that I knew from playing with, Corey Brannon's wedding.
Yeah, I
so
know
I
him.
had that kind of connection there. I was like, oh yeah, I know Corey.
What would you say
not
is
me.
the point in your musical career where you felt that no matter what happens, this is still going to be a high point?
I think that it was when, I mean, however short-lived it was, when we got signed on to Suburban Home.
And how did that happen?
Well, I just had a couple buddies that knew me that were also signed to the label. And I had them kind of put in good words for me. And then I took these 5 songs that we recorded and I sent them in an email to the owner of Suburban Home. And I just said, you know, take a listen and tell me what you think. I got a lot more where that came from. Spurred a good relationship, so they ended up putting out a full length for us, which was Take Her Easy. And I think when I got that vinyl in my hand that somebody else paid, well, in theory they were supposed to pay, but somebody else backed, I think that was probably like, oh man, I'm a musician now, you know?
Yeah. So what, I mean, did they push your album, like press and all that stuff?
Yeah, they did, and I think that's why I have any clout at all, is because of that. I had people, people bought the record from all over the country and all over the world just based solely upon the previous records that came out through Suburban Home. So my music was opened up to this huge audience that I could never have done without consummate touring and eating shit and living on floors, getting bit by fleas,
You're also, I think, one of the only people who I know who's been doing it as long as you have, and is the age that we are, who doesn't seem to get knocked down very easily. Like, you just keep coming back. Like, we've had plenty of moments where we're like, is this it? Like, is this the signal? But have you had, like, what's like a low point where we're like, I don't know that this is working?
Anytime you show up to a gig and play to nobody, that thought crosses your mind, I think. I remember playing at Young Avenue Deli in Memphis. We showed up and they didn't even know there was a band playing that night.
Oh, that's rough.
So there's a few people there already. And so I was like, sweet, well, at least there'll be some people there. And they didn't have a sound guy, so they had to call around to these different people and try to find somebody that knew how to run sound. They got like this 4th string sound guy, showed up, set the levels, and left. We had all our gear on stage, and all of a sudden, like, this ear-piercing feedback started happening. Everybody left, and we had to figure out where it was coming from. The guy wasn't even there to do that. And then so everybody left, and the guy came back with his girlfriend, and we ate fried pickles and played to the guy and his girlfriend and the bartenders. And that felt very deflating.
And this is just full band, not just you?
This is full band.
I feel like
6-piece band.
At least with a 6-piece band, you got each other. Like, that's got to be hard when it's just you.
Yeah, well, I've played. Anytime you feel like someone's not listening to you, especially as a solo artist, you kind of feel like, what am I even doing? And that's, I don't know. That's when I start making up songs. I just feel always a little honored and a little privileged to be able to do anything that I do. So
that's a good attitude to have.
It's hard to feel defeated when you try to take that attitude towards it.
Whew. What is it about Gainesville that made you stay in this town for so long?
It's the what I call the velvet rut. You get here and you're comfortable, and everything's so cheap, and you can live like a king on 30 grand a year. Whenever I want to book a show, I can book a show. I know pretty much every bartender in the town at the bars that are worth a damn. I have a lot of good friends. I think my status as a musician is pretty rooted. So I never really thought to move away before.
And now you're moving away.
And now I'm moving away.
Well, I mean, I think all things must pass. I feel like, for me, I feel like you're one of my closest friends in town, and it was shocking to hear that you're leaving, but I don't know if it's just that so many people have left that it's just like, it doesn't hurt as much or what, but you're definitely going to be missed. I mean, I imagine it's going to be hard to leave everybody and everything.
Yeah, I mean, all my best friends are here. Everything I've ever known, I've never lived outside of Florida. But I'm being completely displaced from everything I know or everything that's familiar to me. So, yeah, it's gonna be a little shocking. That's just how I am.
It's not the same picturing you with jeans, some band t-shirt, maybe boots, pulling a koozie out of your back pocket and just starting a beer in a New York City bar. It just doesn't seem right.
Well, it's gonna happen until they tell me not to, I guess. As far as New York goes,
you gonna keep trying to play music? I assume you will.
I feel like I can't stop playing music. It started out, and as generic as it can by wanting girls to think I'm attractive, to now being my primary form of expression.
Here's a second. They're gonna hit our pops are right there. Gotta have my pops.
Let's get some pops.
Get some pops.
Gotta have my pops. one? Yeah. Thanks. That's delicious.
You've been GoProing.
We GoPro.
Everything?
I have a internet GoPro show where we ride bicycles, talk about music, and then get popsicles.
So this is the popsicle
So
portion
this is the popsicle portion, yeah.
of the internet
That's
show.
epic.
called-
Can I follow you?
You can,
Like around town.
I just spoke into the camera like
Blew up.
I'm not speaking into a microphone.
Orange cream sounds good.
Which one?
Orange cream.
What kind of chocolate we talking here?
I think I'm gonna go with pink grapefruit. It's one of the most reliable fresh flavors. Hey, what's this? Oh, it's orange and blueberries. Go Gators.
You know what I think I'm going with for real though?
What?
I'm going horchata dipped in chocolate.
That sounds like a good plan.
Or chocolate.
I might get orange and blue, even though I'm
That's
not.
not like you. Usually
not a
the
Gator
orange
guy.
and green. Bourbon peach. A little more up my alley.
Bourbon Meyer.
Bourbon Meyer, no. Just said I like to drink whiskey.
Blue Gatorade whiskey.
That's what that's called?
Didn't you make that up?
No, that's probably Michael Clare thing. Michael, did you make that up?
I'm gonna do the orange and blue. Do I have to say go Gators?
You just did.
I did.
And it's on camera.
It's
Even
on
though you can erase it if you want to.
Thank you.
I'd like the horchata, but I want it dipped in chocolate.
This was the right choice. This is quite good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. Horchata dipped in chocolate. In closing, I would like to say that I've had a wonderful time with Mr. Eric Atria today. And we have a beautiful relationship, and I'm very thankful for his friendship, and I'll miss him dearly as I move on to different things. One day I'll be back and we'll shake hands, possibly kiss on the cheek.
We've kissed on the mouth before.
We've kissed on the mouth before,
I
and
don't-
it's documented. So you know we're not scared of our brutally masculine relationship with each other. And in closing, I love each and every one of you, especially this horchata pop.
Cheers.
Cheers.